Benchmark 5. Well, this is how to present. Your group is going to come up with one PowerPoint slideshow. Well, not PowerPoint. Use Google Slides. PowerPoint's too wacky. Google Slideshow. It's got to be clear and legible so your font size can be nowhere under 24. It needs to not look like a high school presentation. You want to have a certain amount of artwork, but you want to have what could only be called a screen that could be read easily. And you also want to make sure that it is attractive with charts and graphs. All right, so the essential question everyone covers is there a lack of equity in terms of material and outcomes for urban students of Latin not seen in suburban and private schools? And how do we address those issues of inequity? Remember, equity is that not everybody starts at the same level or at the same position in life, and therefore there needs to be to make things more equitous, you need to be able to have people start better. So remember, ideas to explore and to keep in your mind that Latin, nobody is born into Latin. If we had just Spanish, then that would be showing inequity because you can't compete on the national Spanish exam, or one school has the AP Spanish as their first class for native speakers. We're not native speakers. You want to talk about the functionality of Latin, of course. There's plenty of data out there, charts, graphs, SATs, medicine, those things. Make it personal. You also want to talk about the national recognition because remember, we're getting them to pay for our NLE, and you want to talk about how you've done that. And you want to figure out which of your error analyses is really good, that shows plenty of growth and everything else that we can print up in color and have that there. You also want to talk about how that we're the only program in the city who actually got to the seal of biliteracy. So that shows that we can do it. And we get to the seal of biliteracy in just 2 years, which means if you give us the tools, we'll make it. We'll make it happen. And you also want to have everybody's CV in your group updated and a copy of it there. So we show what we're at. Okay, so those are ideas to explore. Problems. Here's the number one problem. The AP syllabus nationally says it's 4 years of Latin. We're 3 years of Latin. But then I've given you three schools in Ohio that have Latin that are very good, and you can see it's in their 6th year of Latin. So there's our problem that we have in the district. We don't start Latin in the 7th grade. And then we have to look at why there's the disparity. So I need you to find some more expensive public schools nearby or in the state or out of the state who offer Latin. How many is a good sample? I would say, since I'm giving you three, you should probably look for um, four more and interspace them separately, and figure out how to do it in a chart. Now, here, then you explore the issues of inequity. Public schools, we talked about median income. So once you find your other schools, you'll be able to get a good grasp of how many students are there, um, and these school districts, how much money they have. So percentage, you should also look at Hispanics, percentage of African Americans, white, etc. Actually, don't put white in; it's going to be obvious. Just look at African Americans and Hispanics. So use Dr. Google, find your. Let's go. Let's go 9 other schools beside us. 9 other schools beside us. That way, these three won't be just all repeating because they're the most egregious, because 6 years of Latin. Wow. So You can also look at private school. Now, you can't get the data for private schools in respect to how much the parents make, but you can look at tuition dollars. And so, if you look at tuition dollars, you would then compare that to what our money is that we receive as a unique school. Don't look at the state funding because the district takes the lion's share of that. So talk to Ms. Perez about how much we get per pupil. And then when you look at it, you can also look at the racial aspect too for private schools, cost, race. Finally, what are colleges looking for? You want to talk about the importance of the honors diploma, importance of the AP. Some colleges really don't care if you have the AP. Some colleges don't really care if you have honors diploma, but those colleges are not the competitive ones that we should have opportunity to. So therefore, once you've proven that argument, then you have to go to what's different about the textbook. And that way we will about the Nereus Proteus. Nereus is the book, Proteus is the online. What's different about it? Well, first off, it's designed for third year students. How so? Well, it's more explicit in grammatical analysis. It's also bridges the gap between scholarship at college level. And then finally, it has the online questions, which are right now we're over 1,000, and if everything works correctly, we should probably be at around 2,000 plus, as well as online assessment items, as well as I would say 50 new games, plus everything else we have. So, and therefore, our students would have a better opportunity to compete. Finally, each person needs to discuss in your group what you did textual, how you made the long marks, how you did the scansion, how you created the questions, how you created the video, the Google slides, lexical, how you took the alphabetical, put it glossaries, put them into sequential form, bolded the text, and then created the various games, not only the definition game, but also the keyword and context. That's the important thing that goes into the things, into the quizzes and such. And finally, morphosyntactic, how you took the commentaries that were sent. You Some were scanned and had to be put into optical character recognition. How you took the text and therefore took the parts that would be most usable to students, right, that you could understand, barely, but how you could understand it, and then do that. Plus, also how you came up with your questions, not only looking at the form, but also the function, looking at fill ins, because those are important on the AP, what it's modifying. And then also this new thing of coming up with comprehension questions, both in Latin and in English. General conclusions, you go from there. So, what I'm looking for next Thursday for the benchmark is your presentation. Everybody in your team needs to be able to present on it. Everybody in your team. So, what you want to do is you want to take this little spreadsheet, you want to copy this to new, and then you want to share it out to your members. You want to make sure you're on the right track on these things, that you have graphs, and I'll show you a quick video on how to do graphs, charts, etc., that you have it clear that it's an attractive function because Once you do your presentation, how long is the presentation? 5 minutes. Everybody shouldn't sound the exact same. I mean, you need to come up with your own metaphors and everything else and how you present it, but 4 to 5 minutes, and then be ready on benchmark 6, because at benchmark 6, that's when we deal with the hostile audience. How do you deal with certain questions that could come up to you, and how do you manage to control a situation and keep your argument going firm? All right, well, that's exciting. Um, I've been very impressed with the work so far. We will figure out how we're going to get it done, and then we'll go from there. Now, for Pliny, you've still got to do benchmark 5 and 6. The difference is with Pliny is, instead of dividing up the tasks according to the book, everybody took a separate chapter. So that's going to be that's a tough road. I mean, I'm serious. That's a tough road. So benchmark 5 will be due on Thursday, and um, each period I'm going to be hearing the presentation, and we shall be judging accordingly. I say we because students will also be grading and coming up with questions. Of the groups we have, it's going to be what's the term? It's going to be short. It's only 45 minutes, but it's going to be pretty high powered because not just everybody coming in. It's going to be our classics departments from various colleges, Department of Education, and the American Classical League. The director of the American Classical League is coming in. So we're going to have some people, plus the CEO and everybody else. It's going to be something that highlights the incredible work you've done. All right, so that's benchmark 5 in a nutshell, and I'll discuss it in class. But just in case, so you know clearly the guidelines. And I'll come up, as soon as I get the rubric from them, I'm going to get that rubric to you. And don't worry, I'm going to prepare you to own the day. And until then, I'll see you in class.